Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer and really unpack the massive kind of hidden infrastructure shift happening beneath this whole AI boom. We hear constantly about the AI models themselves, the magic that writes text and generates code, but the actual physical foundation enabling all of it, it's undergoing a radical multi-billion-dollar transformation right now. We are totally moving away from the traditional cloud as we know it and stepping into something entirely new.
So here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the CPU cloud era, then get into exactly why AI breaks that traditional cloud. Next, we'll look at building GPU-native infrastructure, dive into the economics of inference, and finally, look ahead to the intelligence infrastructure era. All right, Section 1, the CPU cloud era. Let's look backward for a second just to establish our baseline. 2 decades of general-purpose computing built almost entirely around CPUs. For years, the cloud was completely optimized around traditional workloads. Think transactional tasks, web apps, databases, stuff that runs perfectly in a straight, predictable, deterministic line. CPU scaling was honestly perfect for those sequential processes. But modern AI, it requires massive matrix operations. It requires calculating literally millions of probabilities simultaneously. So the infrastructure requirements have completely flipped, from simple sequential processing to massive, high-speed parallel computation. Which brings us to Section 2. Why AI breaks the cloud. This is where we start seeing a true cascading infrastructure failure. Look, here's the thing. You can't just slap a GPU into a traditional server and call it an AI cloud. It's a huge misconception that AI is just another software app that demands a bit more power. No. The moment you introduce these massive workloads, they generate completely alien behaviors that the old cloud simply wasn't built to survive. Modern AI systems demand this incredibly intense, specialized environment. It's not just about raw compute anymore. It's a precise cocktail of massive parallel computation paired with incredibly high bandwidth memory. It requires ultra-fast networking fabrics and complex GPU scheduling just to keep all the data moving. Add in the need for vector retrieval acceleration, and, well, every single requirement you see here represents a massive pressure point that literally snaps traditional architecture right in half. And remember, AI models are simply too big for one GPU. Because inference workloads have to be distributed across many accelerators, these GPUs are constantly talking to each other. Think of it kind of like a massive commercial kitchen with 100 chefs who have to perfectly coordinate every single chop and stir in real time. They're continuously exchanging massive amounts of complex math, like attention states and tensor operations, in microseconds, literally just to generate a single word. Naturally, this triggers a massive domino effect. Upgrading your compute instantly breaks traditional networking. Standard internet cables, they absolutely cannot handle GPU scale synchronization. You suddenly need foundational, ultra-low latency fabrics like NVLink and InfiniBand. Basically, you're ripping out a standard 2-lane highway and replacing it with a localized bullet train network. At this scale, the network isn't just connecting computers anymore, it practically is the computer. Now, if you fix the networking, guess what? You immediately bottleneck the memory. Inference speed is fundamentally determined by memory bandwidth, and large models are incredibly hungry for VRAM. If your memory systems, like high-bandwidth memory acting as the AI's short-term workspace, can't keep up, well, your multi-million-dollar GPUs just sit there completely idle. Memory is no longer just a component, it is absolutely strategic infrastructure. Let's move on to Section 3. Building GPU-native infrastructure. Here we'll see the deep coupling of hardware and software. In the old cloud, virtualization just abstracted the hardware away. Schedulers blindly handed out CPU cores and RAM, and it worked totally fine. But an AI-native scheduler? It has to be deeply hardware-aware. It has to act almost like a master conductor, meticulously coordinating physical GPU topology, memory locality, and exactly how data moves in parallel across the fabric. Scheduling has become dramatically more complicated. Even data storage fundamentally changes. We are moving way past the standard files and databases you're used to. Storage now has to optimize around massive AI model checkpoints and high-speed vector databases. It becomes a fluid, high-speed part of the inference pipeline itself, rather than just a dusty shelf where data sits still. Think about this. In a traditional cloud, if things slow down, you check your CPU load, right? But imagine the operational chaos in these new, hyper-fast environments when a massive inference latency spike hits. How do you even begin to diagnose an issue that's hiding inside a deeply interconnected GPU fabric?
Traditional cloud monitoring is completely blind to this. You're hit with a rapid-fire list of complex failure points. Was the GPU memory fragmented? Did tensor synchronization stall across your localized network? Did retrieval latency suddenly spike because of a batching failure? You need entirely new AI-native observability tools just to monitor infrastructure that operates at this crazy level of complexity and speed.
Okay, Section 4, the economics of inference. This is all about moving to continuous intelligence generation. So, training an AI model is an expensive, one-time event. But inference, actually answering your prompts, generating images, or running autonomous agents, that happens continuously, millions of times a second, all over the world. Because of this, cloud economics is now laser-focused on the cost per token. Tiny optimizations in how data is routed, quantized, or batched can literally save billions of dollars at a global scale. And supporting these economics requires physical infrastructure that resembles an industrial-scale facility. We're talking about extreme power density. These clusters generate so much heat that standard data center air conditioning fails completely. You need advanced airflow engineering and highly specialized power delivery just to keep the actual silicon from melting. The physical footprint of the cloud is being entirely reimagined from the ground up. Let's wrap up with Section 5, the intelligence infrastructure era, and look at the macro future of the cloud. Important point here, not all AI will live in massive centralized data centers. As smaller, highly optimized models emerge, we're definitely going to see a shift toward hierarchical ecosystems coordinating seamlessly. We'll see centralized frontier inference happening in mega clusters, working in perfect tandem with distributed edge reasoning running locally on everything from industrial robots down to the smartphone right in your pocket. This is a massive historical shift. GPU-native architecture is going to transform machine intelligence the exact same way the electrical grid transformed the industrial age. Just as factories simply couldn't operate without power lines, the future digital economy won't function without access to these distributed inference networks. Cloud providers aren't just selling server space anymore. They're providing the foundational grid for automated reasoning. So the next time somebody tries to brush this off and tells you that AI is just another cloud workload, like it's just a heavy app you can throw onto existing servers, I want you to remember this. We are witnessing a fundamental teardown and rebuild of the cloud itself. It is rewriting global digital infrastructure into an invisible, continuous intelligence layer, completely optimized around generating machine reasoning at scale. Think about the implications. If these GPU fabrics are literally the electricity of the 21st century, the entities that build and control them will wield unprecedented influence. As the future global economy becomes entirely dependent on access to this compute, who will actually control the intelligence infrastructure of tomorrow? It's a massive question to consider. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope it gave you some great insights.